Но когда мы заходили, хохлы еще тут были. Это сейчас уже на велосипеде свободно.
Russian propagandist Kotz admits that, aside from airstrikes, Russia cannot offer any substantial assistance to Assad's regime, making it impossible to halt the rapid advance of the opposition. The Russian embassy in Syria is giving a transparent hint. The Russian embassy in Syria reminds Russian citizens living in Syria of the possibility of leaving the country on commercial flights through operating airports. The situation in the country is heating up with each passing hour. According to reports from the field, the militants have already reached the outskirts of Homs. If they take the city and make a dash to the border with Lebanon, the governorates of Tartus and Latakia, where Russian military bases are deployed, will be cut off from the rest of the country. Army and tactical aviation of the Russian aerospace forces are doing everything possible to slow down the militants' advance, but without support on the ground, this is unlikely to succeed. And the Syrian army is not yet showing any particular readiness to fight for its country. And back to Ukraine, the village of Obukhovka in the Kursk region, which has suffered greatly from the aggression of militants of the Kremlin regime against Ukraine.
Вот какие последствия этой войны. Но когда мы заходили, хохлы еще тут были. Это сейчас уже на велосипеде свободно. Можно. Вот это вот человек. Нам сейчас надо на задание. Мост ебали. Так что как-то так.
The 79th Air Assault Brigade delivered another blow to Russian assault forces in the Kurakhove direction. In a single battle, they destroyed 2 armored vehicles, eliminated 27 infantrymen, and wounded 12 more. The battle for Kurakhove, located in the Donetsk region, has become a critical point in the ongoing conflict. Russian forces have advanced into the outskirts of the city, but face stiff resistance from Ukrainian defenders who have fortified their positions and employed counterattacks to stall the offensive. The area remains heavily contested, with intense fighting over control of key logistical routes and fortified positions. For Russia, capturing Kurakhove would disrupt Ukrainian logistics in southern Donbass and potentially allow further advances toward critical areas like Velika Novosilka. However, Ukrainian forces are leveraging advanced Western weaponry and a strong defensive network to maintain their hold on the city, making this a pivotal and grueling battle for both sides. And this is a great article from National Interest and Lucan Ahmad Way, Why Restraint with Russia Won't Work. The latest round of Russian nuclear threats has sparked renewed calls to limit military assistance to Ukraine to prevent international escalation of the Russo-Ukrainian war. The Biden administration, together with commentators on both the right and left, have argued that Western restraint is necessary to avoid a nuclear conflict. Such warnings have been echoed by Russian President Vladimir Putin, who contended in late May that constant escalation can lead to serious consequences. However, rewarding Russian aggression is more likely to escalate conflict with Russia to create any kind of durable peace. Calls for caution blind us to the very real danger that limiting Ukraine's ability to respond to Russian aggression will make a broader European or global war more likely by reducing the perceived costs of Russian escalation. Support for shackling Ukraine in the face of Russian attacks rests on the belief that Russia will somehow reward Western prudence, and that if we back down in the face of nuclear threats, Russia will stop making such threats. But if threats of nuclear war cause the West to put more limits on Ukraine, why would Russia stop making such threats? If Russia thinks it can engage in aggressive behavior without cost, it will probably engage in more aggressive behavior. Indeed, Russia's full-scale invasion in February 2022 was provoked in part by Western weakness and restraint rather than belligerence. Great Britain did little to punish Russia after it murdered a British citizen on British territory in 2006. Then, Western powers responded with extraordinary restraint after the Russian government blatantly violated core international norms by invading sovereign Ukrainian territory and seizing Crimea in 2014. In the first 2 years after the war, American lethal military assistance remained limited. sanctions against Russia had little noticeable impact on the Russian economy. Simultaneously, the German government refused to halt construction of the Nord Stream 2 pipeline linking Germany to Russia's Gazprom. Russia remained Europe's largest supplier of gas. German politicians in both major parties remained riddled with politicians close to Russia. French and Italian politicians on both the right and the left supported closer relations with Russia. In particular, Putin maintained close personal ties with European leaders, including Hungarian Prime Minister Viktor Orban, former Italian Prime Minister Silvio Berlusconi, and former German Chancellor Gerhard Schröder. The United States and its allies did ultimately provide lethal assistance and helped train the Ukrainian military. However, the government did not provide its most advanced weapons and did nothing to move Ukraine closer to NATO membership. In the months before the February invasion, Russian state media itself admitted that Ukraine's NATO membership was unrealistic, and that despite promises of admission made in 2008, over the past 12 years, Kyiv has moved away from the prospect of joining the alliance. However, Western restraint was not rewarded. Rather than responding reciprocally by reducing tensions, Putin, of course, invaded Ukraine in February 2022. The Russian government did this not in response to Western threats, but almost certainly because they assumed the West was too weak and passive to respond effectively. After all, Putin had important allies in the European elite and controlled access to key European energy resources. Western restraint in response to Crimea did not constrain Russia, but very likely escalated the chances of Russian aggression. And so it is today. Western powers have done little to respond to concerted Russian efforts to foment global chaos, including the severing of communications cables between Lithuania and Sweden, and plots to send incendiary devices to the United States and Canada. If we want to stop Russia from invading sovereign countries and sowing instability in Europe and the United States, we must make such behavior costly. That is ultimately the best way of preventing escalation. Desertion in Ukraine is rising, with over 100,000 soldiers expected to be mobilized, according to Bloomberg. Since 2022, 96,000 cases have been opened against deserters, with some involving 20 to 30 individuals. Key issues include bureaucracy and challenges in unit transfers. Day 9 of protests in Georgia. The parliament building is under fire from fireworks as clashes continue. Protesters are being detained, and police are conducting searches at metro stations and transport stops. Lots of demonstrators are being rounded up by police.
Thanks for watching, and don't forget to subscribe. Also, if you want to support Warthog Defense, please become our member and get early access to new videos, exclusive members-only videos, and become administrator in comment section. The membership link is in the description.
Every day. We had a guy last week, it's 6 rescues in 6 days. You know, he's doing the job every day.